What's going on, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be continuing with our T3 Stack application, which is a journal that uses AI to run sentiment analysis on your journal entries. So in the last video, we added in our backend stuff so we can list all our entries, we can write an entry and submit it, and we can view a single entry along with deleting that entry. But in this video, I want to add another button, which when we click it, it will send our entry off to the OpenAI API. It will run sentiment analysis on it, and then it will come back with a value between 1 and 10, stating 1 being we're very sad or very depressed or it sounds very negative, and 10 being a very positive entry. So let's go ahead and over on the OpenAI website, so openai.com, I will also add the link in the description. Let's go ahead and log in. So on the login, I'm just going to continue with Google. And I'm going to use the API. So click on API. And then once you're in, so it may take a bit longer. I'm already a member or I've already signed up to this account. So yeah, that's why it's a bit faster, but take your time with signing up. What we're going to do is find the API. So if you click on your personal icon and then go on to view API keys, so I have a bunch of them anyway for different reasons. I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to call this one a journal app and create secret like that. And then I get this new secret key. And remember, don't share this. I'm sharing this with you. Don't worry, I'm going to delete it right after all of this has been done. Just going to copy that and then click done. And in the project, I'm just going to close all of this because we don't need it right now, and open up the env file and just paste it in. So I'm going to call this OpenAI key and paste it in right there. All right, so we have it in our env file. We also need the env.mjs file to be aware of this because, you know, we want the safety of it. So we call this OpenAI key, and this is going to be z.string. And then down below, we also need to add it in here. So we'll say OpenAI key is going to be process.env.OpenAI key and spell it correctly. So there we go. So now our env.mjs file is aware of it. So in case when we're deploying it, we forget to add this into our environment variables, then it will complain. So that's quite nice. All right, so now we have it there. The next step is to create our endpoint, which is going to deal with the AI stuff. So in routers, if you remember, we created this journaling.ts one, and that handles everything in regards to creating a entry, listing them all, listing a single entry, and deleting one. We're also going to create a new router, and we're going to just call this one ai.ts. And we're going to do a similar thing with what we did in the journaling.ts one. So first of all, let's make the necessary imports. Z from Zod, like so, and then import create trpc router, and it is here, create trpc router, and also the protected root procedure. And let's just fix this import so it looks nice. Say @/server/API/trpc. Cool. And then let's import the env from @env.mjs. So with that, we can access the OpenAI key. All right, so we have that. What we need also is the OpenAI library. So let's head over back onto Google, type in OpenAI npm, and you'll see this one here. And just, yeah, be sure that you're getting it from the right one. You can check the GitHub. This is the correct one. You can also see based on the weekly downloads, it's 1.1 million weekly downloads, which is pretty insane for a library. And let's go ahead and install it. So npm install, gonna stop the server and paste that in. Give it a second. Right, and we're all good to go. Let's go ahead and run this now. And let's import it. So we'll say import OpenAI from OpenAI. Cool. So first of all, let's initialize our OpenAI object. So we'll say OpenAI equals new OpenAI. And we need to pass in our API key. So API key, and we already have that in env, and that is the OpenAI key. So our OpenAI is now initialized. Now let's go ahead and create our router. So const AI router equals create trpc router. And here we'll have just one endpoint, which is going to be called rate entry. And then protected procedure, input. And what's the input going to be? Well, we could pass in the content, but we already have access to the content through the database. So all we really need is the ID of the entry. So we'll say input, and this is going to be a object, of course. And in there, we're going to pass in the ID. So z.string. And one thing to note, you can also just, instead of putting z.object, because we only have one property, which is the ID, you can just say z.string. However, I tend not to go with this direction because z.string could be anything. It doesn't hint to us as a developer that we're passing in an ID here. That's why I like to kind of contain it inside an object as it helps us in the future, or helps any other developer that may look at your work. And this is going to be a mutation because when we add in when we click on the button, it's going to send off the ID of the entry. The entry is then going to be calculated by the AI, and then we're going to save it and write it to our table, because remember, in here we have this mood rating right there, and it's going to write it into that. Let's head back and mutation, async, and then ctx, and we need this in an object, ctx, and input, and then we can go ahead and start writing it up. So first of all, we need to get the entry, so we'll say await ctx.db.entry, and then find first, and we'll say where id input.id, like so, and then we'll say const, and then we'll create our prompt. So our prompt's going to be this. We'll say do sentiment analysis on the following statements. And of course, feel free to experiment with this, go wild with it, as this is the beginning of our prompt that we'll send to our AI. So following statement between 1 and 10, 1 being negative and 10 being positive. Return just the number. All right, and add this colon at the end because that's where we're going to append our content. So then we'll say const AI response equals, and then await OpenAI dot completions dot create, and then the model we're going to use, pick the model that you want. I'm going to go ahead and use GPT 3.5 Turbo Instruct. That tends to be pretty good and pretty fast. And then prompt, we'll say prompt and plus entry dot content. So we're taking this prompt and we're taking our content from here and adding it to it. And if we want to be extra safe, let's just say select, because we only care about the content. Let's just say content true here. All right, so now we have the AI response, and now let's get the rating out of it. So first, before we do anything, let's just console.log this whole thing. We'll say AI response like so. And now let's go back to our PID file, so the single entry file. And what we'll do is create our button. Actually, we also need to register this. I always forget that. So in routers and in the API, click root.ts, where the same place where we register our journaling one. Let's go ahead and also register our AI one. So let's just call this AI router, like so. Just clean this import out at server API routers. There we go. And back in PID, let's go ahead and make use of it. So in this, let's go ahead and say, what should we have right here? We'll have this as const, and we'll use mutate for this rate mood mutation, and equals api.ai.rateEntry.use mutation, and on success, we'll go ahead and say what we want to do is, let's leave it for now. Just leave it at that. All right, so when we click on it, when we click on this button, we want it to send the data off. So let's go ahead and add this button in. And what we'll do is say, just say here above the trash icon, we'll have this. We'll say entry data and mood rating. If it equals null, then we want to show this button. Let's go ahead and say button, and we'll say analyze mood. And then we'll say class name. We'll get, let's make this, oops, flex, justify, center. We'll also have rounded, SM, background gradient to bottom right, from indigo 700 to indigo 800. Actually, I think we already used that for sign in. Let's try a different color. Let's try sky. So a nice bluish kind of color. And then padding, we'll say 2, just like our trash icon, px. Padding on the x, 8. Font, pop-ins. Font, we'll have bold. Text, gray, 500. And let's leave it at that. Go back now, back to our application. If I refresh, we have analyze mood. This color is a bit too gray for my liking. 500, let's set it at 50, I think it's better. There we go. We have this nice analyze mood button that we can click. But right now it's not going to do anything because we haven't associated a function with it. Say on click. And when we click it, we'll say call the rate mood mutation, and we'll pass in the ID, entry ID, like so. All right, remember we're consoling it, so let's just keep an eye out on that. And so if I go ahead and click analyze mood here and go back, and if you look at the terminal, we have the following. So we have the ID of whatever we sent. So what we're more interested in is the result that we got back. It also tells us the model that we used, a bit of data that we need, and what we're calling the text completion. But this choices here is what concerns us. So we have this text, and in here it's a new line, and then 8. So it says that this one, the rating for this, or the mood rating, is 8. So it's pretty high. Let's go ahead and try another one. Let's write something negative. I had a horrible day, and tomorrow will be much worse. Let's go ahead and click finish. Let's analyze that. And if we look here, we can see that the rating for this one is 1, so very negative. I think it's the lowest that we have. What would be cool as well is if we could also have like or it might be a challenge to you guys, is maybe with this analyze mood, instead of providing a number, it can provide some tips on how to make your day better or tomorrow better. That'd be pretty cool. I think that'd be quite useful as well. But anyway, just to keep this simple, let's go ahead and go back and say, now that we have this response, and remember we had that choices thing, so we need to get it out of this. Now to do that, what we can say is down here, let's say let rating equals AI response dot choices, and then get the first one because it's only going to be returning one, and then text, and say rating equals rating replace the, we want to get rid of the new line, so we'll say forward slash and then bracket backslash r backslash n, and then a pipe like that. So this is just to make sure that we're matching it. So forward slash brackets backslash r backslash n pipe, and then backslash n again, pipe backslash r. And no, I'm not, this is something that I do not know off by heart, and this is something I already have next to me, so I remember. And then forward slash gm, and then that. Okay, so now we have the rating. Let's just see that we have it showing up, and we'll just add the rating in like that. And actually, let's add, here is the rating, and let's go now back to this, analyze mood, go back, we get, here is the rating 1. Nice. So what we can do now is just write this to our database. So ctx.db.entry.update, and then we'll say where the ID is the input.id, and then data, we're going to change the mood rating, and we're going to set that to pass int because it requires a number to rating. I mean, of course, you can do some like sanity checks to make sure that this is definitely a number. We're not going to go into that, as I think that will blow up this tutorial a bit too much. But now, if we click on Analyze Mood, we can go back to Supabase, and if we refresh, we get 1 for this entry here. So it's been added in. Now, if we go back, and if you remember, let's just go to another entry, let's see this. If we click Analyze Mood, nothing's really happening. So we click Analyze Mood. We know from what we've seen that everything's working, but to the end user, they're not going to tell whether or not anything worked. If we click Refresh, then, oh, why did this not one? Let's go back to this. We get an error somewhere. No, we didn't. Let's go back. Go on this one, Analyze Mood. Entries. Try this one, Analyze Mood. That one worked. I don't know why the other one didn't work. But here we go. We have this 1. And so actually, let's go back to the other one and just make sure that one's working. So this one, let's just click on clean that. Analyze Mood. The result that we get from that. Okay, let's go back and we'll fix that in this. Ah, there we go. So it did work. Maybe it was a delay. But you can see now that the entry button is still remaining when we click on it. And so we don't want that. Otherwise, it's going to confuse the user. So what shall we do? Let's go back to the PID page, or the index page, or ID page of the entry. And in this, let's have a look at what we have. So we're calling the rate mood mutation. And on success, what we want it to do is get the entry again. So we want to fetch all of it because we know that once the mood rating exists, that button will not show anymore, right? So what we can do is say on success, we'll call a refetch, but to do a refetch using TRPC, we can get this use query, and what we can add is a refetch. So there's a function that comes out of it called refetch, like that, and we'll call this refetch entry, like so. Now, if we go down back to our on success, we'll just say refetch entry, like so. So once it's successful, refetch it. Now, if we go back, let's create another one. Today has been a good day. However, it could be better. Let's finish that. Analyze mood. And now it's gone. So it took a second, but now it's gone because the mood has been analyzed. The whole thing's been refetched. And if we go here, let's see what mood we got for that. It got a 7. It's pretty good. All right, so now what we can do is when we click the analyze mood and as it is fetching it, we can disable it. So we can get this status coming out of the mutation. So we'll add the status and we'll say rate mood status. And down here in the button, we'll say disabled equals if the rate mood status equals loading. It's going to show loading like that. Okay, so whilst it's loading, it will be disabled. Let's also add some color to it so it indicates it. I'm just going to go and change this class name to be conditional. So let's just wrap that up in this. And why is this complaining a lot? We need to take this out and put it here. And now inside this, what we can do is say that if it's loading, then we will state that if the rate mood status equals loading, then we'll add cursor not allowed. All right, so if we go back, let's just get rid of, let's just add one. Let's go back to entries, right. This is a good day. I will be going to the gym later. All right, finish. Analyze mood, and you can see now it's deactivated until it comes back. And is that meant to be like that? Refresh it. For some reason the mood is not coming back. Let's go ahead and actually just make sure that we're getting something here. I don't know if there's something wrong with this. Let's just console.log the rating. Let's add like something that will, hey, this is the rating. Go back, analyze mood, and we're not getting anything back. So it could be an issue with either the query or this guy. Let's have a look. So let's just check this. So / bracket /r /n pipe /n pipe /r brackets / gm, and there we go. Okay, so that's working fine. Let's see what the rating is before we do all that. Analyze mood. Oh, we are getting it. Let's just further up. Analyze mood. Where are you? We do it here. Analyze mood. Right. So it's also adding in like this is the rating, so it is going to be a great day. So there is that as well. say only the number being negative, 10 being positive, only the number, and so no extra text. So you may have to play around with this prompt. So if we click it again, now it's gone because now we're saying just give us a number. So yeah, you may need to tweak it a bit, but essentially it's working. And the AI can be a bit of a challenge finding the right prompt, but it's a good example of how that can be and how you can tweak it. But if we go now to that and let's have a look, this is a good day. I'll be going to the gym. We've got a rating of 8. Okay, so now let's head back. And what we want to do is let's add that data in. So we need some information to say what this was once we click it. And what we can do in the PID file is if we go here and let's just shrink this. And let's add the following. So based on the number, we're going to get a certain rating or a certain color and emoji. Let's make it quite interactive and more symbolic, I guess. So we'll say const and then rating to emoji. Now this will be a bit of code, but nevertheless, we have to add it in. So rating number, and then let's go ahead and say if the rating is less than 2, then return the following. We'll say text is going to be very sad. I'll say very negative. Let's go with sad. And then let's add in an emoji, maybe. If my emoji is going to work. Let's take in the crying emoji. That color, we'll say BG red and then 700. And then after that if statement, else if the rating is less than or equal to 4, then we'll return text is going to be sad. We'll put in a sad emoji with it. That the color is going to be orange 700. Then let's say else if the rating is less than or equal to 8 to 5, or let's say 5. Let's say equals 5, so it's like average, I guess. Then we'll return the text as being normal. Take in this emoji, like a straight face. And the color is going to be BG indigo 700. And then else if the rating is less than 8, less than or equal to, let's say, then we'll have the text being happy. And let's take in the happy emoji, the normal smiley face, which I've always thought has been a bit sarcastic, this emoji, but anyway, the color, and then BG teal, and then 700. You could even add this in the back end, to be honest. It might even be better to do that way. But then let's just return, if it's anything else, then we'll say text, very happy, and we'll put a nice grin on there, like this. And the color, we'll say BG Emerald 700. All right, so this is our rating to emoji. And what we'll do is just where we have our entry, so we have this entry down here, we can add on top of it the kind of like an indicator. So we'll say if the entry data dot mood rating exists, then we will return or we'll display the mood rating. So div that, and we'll say rating to emoji, and we'll pass in entry data dot mood rating like that, and we want the color as well. So we want, first of all, the text come out of it, dot text there, and then let's style it. So we'll say class name, and we'll make this JavaScript based. So we'll say w width will be maximum width, justify center, then rounded dash 2XL, and padding will say 3. The font will go with Poppins. Text will be large, and text gray will be 50, like so. And we have a little error here, so let's get rid of that extra bracket. And of course we want the background as well, so we'll say $, and then rating to emoji, just scroll over, and then entry data dot mood rating, and then dot color just outside it. And there we go. So if we go back now, we have this happy little icon there. Check the other ones out. Let's say this one is happy. I had a horrible day, very sad. Very happy here. So now we have this nice kind of indicator to tell us how our day's been. Let's put in another one. Today has been an okay day. I went swimming and fed ducks. I also built an AI application. I guess in that case, if you build an AI application, your day won't be okay, but rather fantastic. But anyway, just for this example, let's finish. Analyze mood, and we are happy. Today has been an okay day. I went swimming and fed the ducks. Maybe this is more the positive thing along with this. So I guess that's why it's more on the happy side rather than the normal side. But anyway, that's our AI done. So the app is pretty much ready and done. I would definitely recommend you guys experimenting with this. Like, I've shown a very basic example of using AI here. What you could also do is add in like a section, as I mentioned earlier, that tells you how you can improve your day tomorrow. That would be pretty cool. And just go wild and creative with this, because I guess the opportunities here are pretty much endless. But that pretty much sums up integrating AI into our application. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and deploy this on Vercel.